All right, welcome in to Big Hitters Only. You're listening to the post-Central Arkansas game, first game of the season. I'm your host, Ross Martin, joined by Spenser Dalton. After this segment, this discussion with Spenser, we have Bryn Renner on to talk UNC football after the win over Syracuse and kind of get into a little bit more in the football season with UNC playing better. So stay tuned to about 20 minutes on UNC football with Bryn Renner. But first, we want to break down UNC's first game for the season, 25-26 season, with Spenser. I'll do an ad read after our first couple takes here, Spenser, but just give me your initial thoughts. Our first time seeing the team in live action, obviously playing against a pretty poor team in Central Arkansas, but what's your initial thoughts?
I thought we looked pretty darn good tonight. I mean, you can always nitpick things, but on the whole, pretty dominant win. And I was just excited to get to see the team in real time. Like you said, we looked good tonight.
What stood out the most to you? Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So the defense was really good. There were a couple of individual performances that I thought were good. We can talk about those in a little bit, but I thought the defense was good. It was very clear that the length and athleticism was very difficult for Central Arkansas. So many times the ball would get swatted away as they would go to drive. So, I think one thing that we did really well tonight, and I saw it a little bit in the exhibition games as well, was doing a better job than in past seasons of being kind of in help side. Denying passing lanes, and then also doing a better job of stopping drives by guys who are off the ball, just kind of stepping into those lanes and getting in there and clogging it up a little bit better. One of the reasons why they're doing that better this year than last year or the year before that is because we are a lot bigger. Bigger bodies take up more space. So I thought the defense was really good, and the offense was great as well. I mean, shoot, you scored 94 points. Hard to argue with good offense there, and did it in a lot of different ways. 3-point shooting, obviously a litany of dunks and some real exciting ones at that. So really, scored on the fast break as well, scored in the half court. I mean, just an all around great offensive performance as well.
UNC 94-54 to take down Central Arkansas. We don't have to dwell much more on Central Arkansas. I want to get a broader look at kind of this team based on how they looked in this game. First one talks about Rhoback.com, promo code BHO20. I'm wearing the hoodie right here. I wear these every day. They sent me a couple with the UNC sign, but I have ones that don't have UNC on there as well. Anything, promo code BHO20. It's been a great promo code for us. It helps us pay our producer Connor, and graphics guy Garrett behind the scenes, and helps us kind of run this thing because, you don't never want someone not getting compensated for their time. So go to Rhoback. They have tons of stuff for Christmas, holidays, birthdays, Rhoback.com, hoodies, sweatshirts, joggers, pants, shorts, anything. Rhoback, promo code BHO20, and tell a friend. And the best thing you do to help us with this podcast is tell a friend about that promo code and tell a friend about the podcast. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, rate, review, subscribe. All right, yeah, the length. Obviously, that jumps off the page. We've been talking about that in the preseason, the transfer portal. I think Caleb Wilson automatically kind of burst onto the scene here, not even in the exhibition games as well, but a couple dunks in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and then just continue to dunk. One hand, two hand. They're looking for him on alley-oops, transition. He's dunking everything. I think he finished, I'll pull it up here, 8 for 10. I think he had 7 dunks, and 1 for 1 from 3. So it might have been 7 dunks and a 3. So not much offense outside of just a rebound and a putback, an alley-oop, a transition dunk. He's going to be a first-round NBA draft pick, probably a lottery pick. But I would like to see him over the course of the season just get better as an offensive player. And he could really be. I mean, I think he's UNC's best player right now, just because of his overall impact. But if he can kind of get a little jump shot going, or I did see him operate a little better in the post that I like to see. He has the moves, But it's just different going against higher level competition. But that's just something to track, is like his offensive development over the next couple over the next weeks and months, and then hopefully kind of when he's in March, when it really matters, he'll be one of the best players in the country. What did you love about Wilson, and what do you really like about him?
Well, no notes, first off, on what you said. I think you're exactly right. Um, I like his jump shot from a form perspective. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he has good technique on the jump shot. So, over time, his jump shot will fall. The more open looks he gets, he's such a threat around the basket that you would think that over time, he could get lost a little bit, leaking out to the 3-point line occasionally and just getting open looks. And again, from a technique perspective, he has great form. So you think some of those are going to fall. And I from the highlights that I saw of his uh, high school playing days, like he can shoot it from outside based on that. Um, he's really athletic, and he's really, really active. I've always loved guys that have just a nose for the ball, and he's got that. He's a good rebounder. He'll just fly out of somewhere and get a big long rebound.
Yeah.
Super active hands on defense. He may not get the steal, but he's the one who deflected it. Things like that. He gets one of those long arms into a driving lane, and a guy not only can't get past it, maybe he pulls away, and you have to reset the offense because your driving lane is totally covered by someone like Caleb Wilson, who's really long. So, his impact defensively, I think, could be immeasurable, really. I mean, he's just, like I said, so active, and he does so many different things: rebounding, scoring, dunking, steals, block shots. I mean, just he can
Yeah.
do it all. He really can.
22 points tonight. Like I said, 8 for 10 from the field, 1 for 1 from the field, from 3-point range, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. 4 total rebounds, which is kind of surprising. 3 assists,
Yeah.
1 block, 1 steal. I think he's unlike a player that UNC's had in a very long time in terms of athleticism. We haven't had a player that tries to dunk like that in a long time with his size. And that's just like something I think when UNC's recruiting has gradually gone down, I think at the tail end of Roy Williams' career and kind of into Hubert Davis's career, you're not recruiting those elite top 25 athletes, because the top 25 prospects have that athleticism. The top 10 have that athleticism, but a player that just tries to dunk everything is an awesome thing to have. And then also just
nice
because
to
pure
see
athleticism.
It's nice to see it from somebody who's not just a pure post player. Bryce Johnson, for example, used to dunk everything, but he didn't go outside the 3-point line ever, hardly. Isaiah Hicks, another great dunker, but played inside primarily. And Caleb Wilson, he goes inside and out very fluidly. So it's nice to see from someone who's really athletic and can kind of play stretch 3, stretch 4. He's got a lot going on in that category.
And I think his defense, it's going to be nice when, going against like a Cameron Boozer or the other team's kind of best 3 or 4, to not be like intimidated that you're having Seth Trimble on him or throwing like a Luke May type player where you're like, damn, can we really keep up with their team's 6'10" 5-star? And I think we have one of those players now. So it poses
finally
he can guard the 3, the 4, the 5. Yeah, and he's going to create a matchup problem for other teams. Okay, so that's enough Caleb Wilson. Let's move. I mean, I think the story of the day was Luka Bogavac getting cleared 30 minutes before the game. I got a text from someone, and then like 5 minutes after that, UNC tweeted it out. So that was awesome. I wonder, like, why did it go to the? I know everything that you hear what happened with it and all the issues, but like, it's just so funny. Like, all right, the game starts now. He's cleared.
Yeah.
Like, could that not happen last week? Could that not happen? Could that not happen 2 weeks ago? Whatever. All's well that ends well. Luka, man, he just looks a little different on the court. I don't know if you see
Hmm.
that. He moves smooth. He's got a really quick first step. I'm not sure he's going
Hmm.
to be the best defender, but it looks like he like moves his feet and like is showing some effort on defense. But he just moves with like it might be like it's like an NBA professional kind of
Yep,
style that it doesn't
he
really
does.
remind me of anybody that UNC's had recently. What do you think about how Luca plays in your first view of him?
He's smooth and he's fundamental without being boring. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
European guys like him. I mean, they said it on the broadcast tonight. I'm sure it's been said 1,000 times already. I mean, he really does have a European style game where they're very skilled, and so he's got good moves, shot fake, one dribble. Little hesitations. Um, he changes speeds as well. He can drive with both hands really effectively. There were a number of times tonight where he caught the ball on the left side of the floor and immediately took a baseline, dribbled left. I can't really remember if they worked out or not, but like you don't see a lot of guys that are 18, 19 years old taking it baseline with both hands. They might do it on the right side if they're a right-handed player, or that vice versa, obviously. But he'll do it with both hands in both directions. So I mean, that can be really tough for defensive teams to not know which way to force a guy because that creates or that's a real point of emphasis on defensive scouts. It's like force a guy left, he can't go left. Force him right, he can't go right. And so for Luka to be able to catch the ball on either wing and drive middle or drive baseline is a real threat, and it makes it a tough defensive matchup. And, he's a pretty big guy too. He's not huge, but he's big and he's strong. You can see him. He's muscularly, he's very developed. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's the same age as most seniors are. So I'm really excited to see what he can do this season, especially after having a professional career and playing against some top-notch competition there. I think he can really do some exciting things. I mean, it was nice to see him come out. I mean, how many points did he have tonight?
He had 10 points on 3 for 9 shooting, 1 for 5
Okay,
from three,
yeah.
3 for 4 from the field, 5 assists in 20 minutes. 5 assists,
In
tied for
his
the
first
most on the
game,
team.
in his first game on the court
Yeah.
in America, like found out. Who knows when he found out? It could have been an hour before. It could have been 10 minutes before the rest of the world found out. You really don't know. Um, to come out and be able to perform under the lights, even in an early season kind of bye game like this one was tonight, like that takes some uh, mental strength. That takes some focus. And it's not really easy to just turn it on and be able to perform. And so it's nice to see that he's kind of got that gene in him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he looks against Kansas, especially with
Mm-hmm.
their
Yep.
caliber of athlete. I'm
Yep.
excited about him. I mean, I think he adds shooting, athleticism, offensive options. I mean, UNC has a lot of options. There's no
Yeah.
limit of people that want to shoot the ball, that think they can shoot the ball on this team,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be a good thing. I think that leads into the Kyan Evans discussion. I thought he looked really good. He's kind of like a subtle player. You kind of forget he's
Yep.
out there because of how well we know Seth Trimble, and then of course Bogavac is kind of the famous player that's getting his first shot. But Kyan Evans, kind of provided exactly what UNC needs to provide every game. 15
Mm-hmm.
points. If we can get 15 out of Kyan every game, that will be incredible. Fish it from 3, 4 for 7. 2 turnovers, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. I noticed at the very beginning of the game, first free throws, he was calling the team together. So maybe he's taking a leadership role. I'm not sure there, but you just could kind of notice those little things. But I don't remember anything other than him hitting a couple shots. But 15 points on 5 for 8 shooting, you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and one thing that I like to see, he made the open ones tonight. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of guys can dribble, 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 and jack one up and make one every once in a while. But like, I feel like so often over the past couple of years, Carolina not only didn't get a whole lot of just like wide open 3-point looks because of ball movement or the action that the play was on. So it's nice to see guys just hitting spot up threes. That was great.
Yeah.
Kyan hit a couple of those tonight. I mean, I'm thinking early on in the game, I made a note of it. I think it might have been like right out of the under 16 timeout in the first half. Central Arkansas went zone, and we had guys moving in and out of the lane, popping in there. I mean, the worst thing you can do against a zone defense is not move around and not move the ball. And so, we popped a little bounce pass into Zayden High at the high post. Defense collapsed in. Kyan Evans was waiting for the little kick out on the wing. Boom, buried it.
Yeah.
You got to have those. Great teams have guys that can knock down open 3-pointers. And, we struggled so much to kind of make the most of what we had in the last couple of years. I mean, there was just so much dribbling, and so many ball screens that, driving kicks didn't end up happening quite as much for whatever reason. And so it was great to see that we got a bunch of those tonight.
Let's take that and lead into a discussion about the offensive stuff. But I agree that, and having a player like Vesar and Caleb Wilson operating kind of down low, that's going to draw a lot of attention because they're just such big bodies that can do a lot of things and draw double teams. Is going to open up the 3-point shooters. And kudos to Hubert and general manager Jim Tanner in getting some shooters, prioritizing shooting maybe over ball handling for Kyan Evans. Or, it's like, all right, we'll take a shooting point guard over maybe, more of a pure point guard, and then going out and getting Luka, who you think can be a knockdown 3-pointer shooter as well, to surround and play along with Seth Trimble. You mentioned some stuff already on offense. I think they got out in transition from the jump, and you could just tell there's a priority to push it. You love to see that as UNC fans. Push. Tons of alley-oops in transition. But what's one or two things that kind of stood out to you offensively that they're doing that's maybe different? You mentioned one thing or a couple things already, but anything else that you liked from their offense?
Yeah, couple things for sure. You mentioned it already, fast break points, 26. That's pretty darn good. I mean, that's about just under a third of the points for tonight. So you'd like to see that number go up even more. I mean, I'm sure Carolina teams in the past have had 30 plus, 35, 40% of their points come on fast break on certain nights. So that was a nice thing to see. I'm kind of looking over here at my stat sheet. One thing that really jumped out to me is assists. We had 33 field goals and 23 assists. Those numbers last year was like half, like half of the field goals had an assist. And
23 assists.
33 field goals, 23 assists.
Okay, did you say? Sorry.
I'm seeing. Yeah. And so that's 2/3, roughly speaking.
Yeah.
That is a great number. Like, great teams share the ball, and the sharing of the ball directly leads to baskets. I mean, we had alley-oops tonight. We had skip passes. We had entry passes. Tons of high-low action. And that was great to see. There was a lot of times tonight where we kind of started sort of a horns look, like maybe not a true horns, but, two high bigs. And one big would come over and screen, and he would then dive to the rim. The other big would come over, get a short little pass from the guard, and immediately look high-low. I mean, we had to get that high-low action, 10 times, and scored on it, probably half of those, 6, 7 times. I mean, that won't be there night in, night out in the way that it was tonight, just because, bigger guys guarding Vesar, bigger guys guarding the second big out on the perimeter. The post-ups may not come as easily. The touch passes over the top that we got a few times tonight for Vesar dunks, those won't be there every single night. But, I mean, it's a great action. It's textbook basketball stuff. So I really like seeing that. And that was just something that we didn't have in the past few years because we didn't have those options. We didn't have two bigs out there to go high-low. It just wasn't the personnel that was on the court. And that's not ragging on anyone. It's just we didn't have those guys out there.
It's good to have big men that can pass too. And it does seem like that they enjoy playing with each other and that they're celebrating each other. And
Mm-hmm.
you have concerns with when you bring in 11 new players, or you only return two starters or two players, that there's going to be a lack of chemistry or a lack of
Mm-hmm.
true team. It does seem like they enjoy playing for each other, celebrating big assists and big dunks, and that's what you would expect a college basketball team to be doing. So kudos to the coaching staff and to some of the leadership. I think Seth
Yeah.
Trimble was huge in keeping this team together and providing, obviously, leadership early on.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there's some leaders that emerge throughout the season, because there will be games that aren't like this Central Arkansas game. All right, let's do a couple quick hitters with these little segments that I texted you. Nothing more than
Sure.
a word or a sentence, and we'll maybe go back and forth for a minute on it, but let's keep these pretty quick. And then I have
Yep.
a surprise segment for you,
All right.
non-basketball related, and then we'll get out of
Okay,
here.
cool.
Make sure to stay tuned to Bryn Renner. Talked to Bryn Renner last night on Sunday night. He's great, always gracious with his time, and he gave some great stuff on this UNC team. I'm like losing my voice for some reason. I blew leaves for like 5 hours today. Like, there wasn't much going on in the basketball recruiting world. I blew leaves
Yeah.
for 5 hours, so I may have ingested some leaf particles. All right. Pull up our text here, Spencer. All right, best player. What's the best player of this game?
Caleb Wilson.
Caleb Wilson. I agree. All right, which player are you most excited about moving forward? You can't say Caleb Wilson.
I was going to say Caleb Wilson would be an easy one, but I think it's got to be Luka. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got to be.
I'll mix it up. I'll say Kyan Evans, because I think if he can become UNC's like third scoring option, or even second in some games, like, that takes this team to a next level. And I'm a little nervous about him as a point guard, but to see him being a shooter, man, it just changes everything when you have a knockdown shooter. Think about late game scenarios, like,
Oh,
so
I know.
pumped to see what he can become. All right. Let's get into this part. What are your concerns? What's one concern you have this team based on today's game?
Physicality, and that stretches to a couple things. It stretches to like boxing out. It can be a defensive physicality. It can be an offensive physicality. So physicality really in all its forms. Like, I can't really say I've seen this team be super aggressive in putting their body into somebody. Whether it's going for a rebound. I mean, they use their leaping ability, sure, they use their height, but really fundamentally boxing somebody out, that plays into what I'm saying. So physicality, I would say, would be my biggest concern.
My biggest concern is the lack of a backup five. And I think it reared its head today. I was getting texts from a lot of people about how bad Zayden High looked, and how, James Brown, you don't really notice him when he's in there. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But Henry Vasar can't play 40 minutes. And this was against Central Arkansas. Like, Zayden High should be better than most Central Arkansas players. So should James Brown. They're both 4-star guys who got recruited by Carolina. I don't think they're Carolina caliber players. I don't think Zayden High should be on the team. But one of those guys is going to have to play 8 minutes a game. And that's going to be huge, man. There's going to be times when Henry Vasar is going to be in foul trouble. Because he's UNC's only kind of really true interior player. So that is a concern. That's a deficiency in this team. I almost think Jaron Stevenson or Caleb Wilson should move to the 5 when, if it's an ACC game in late February and you're down 5. Like, I don't think you can risk putting in those guys right now. So unless they improve drastically, and Zayden High doesn't look big. He's small. He's 6'8".
He
looks
slight.
like
yeah.
And so that's
he kind of runs like bent over. He doesn't. He just, I don't know.
I don't think he's that big. I think he's like 6'8".
Yeah.
I think he's a 6'8" center. If anything, he's got to just get fouls, rebound, talk some shit, and fire that was his thing.
Be an energy guy. He's got to be an energy guy and like limit mistakes. There's a difference between making great things happen and then doing bad things. We got to do not many bad things for him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Got anything else on this one? Oh, okay. What do you think the rotation is in January? I mean, does Luka end up starting here pretty soon? Jaren Stevenson. I'm not sure if it was a matter of Stevenson's been the starter in the 2 exhibition games.
Yeah.
Luka cleared maybe hours before the game. And we haven't talked about Jaren Stevenson, but you said you don't. I kind of like what he brings. I mean, he is a big, tall body who's experienced. He can knock down threes. He didn't really do much today offensively, but I do like what he brings, and he adds a completely different element when he is the 3. So, what do you think?
I mean, I like Stevenson. He didn't do a whole lot tonight, but as silly as this is to say, as a great player, it can sometimes occasionally be hard to play against lesser competition. You just can't get in a rhythm. They're shorter than you are. They're pesky. You're not. They're. I don't know. It can just be kind of weird. So he didn't have the best night of his life tonight, but I wouldn't say I'm concerned even in the slightest. He's big. He's athletic. He's long. He can jump. Like, he can do all the things. He's a good 3-point shooter. He has the experience playing in NCAA tournament games. He knows how to win. If I had a question about this team as well, or a concern, is that we don't maybe Vesar, because Arizona was good last year. But him and Jaren Stevenson are really the only, and I guess Luka maybe as well, but I don't know much about him. But we don't have a ton of guys who have won consistently at the college level, and just being a part of winning programs, being a part of winning traditions. I mean, certainly Carolina has a winning tradition, but dominating teams night in, night out, and really winning, 26, 27, 28 games in a season, 30 games in a season. Nobody on Carolina's roster has done that other than those guys that I've just mentioned. So I think that bodes well. Jaren Stevenson bringing in just kind of some really definitive winning experience.
Okay, what's your rotation? What's your starting lineup and your rotation in January? Who's playing, who's not playing, who's getting the 10 minutes, the 5 minutes?
Yeah, I would. So starting lineup would probably look the same with the exception of Stevenson and Luka switching spots. Caleb Wilson can kind of play the 4. Obviously he's big enough, so he can play the 4. But you never know. I mean, Luka could very well be a spark off the bench. That was something that Carolina, I think, has lacked in the last couple of years, is a real spark off the bench, a true sixth man. And it can sometimes be more advantageous to have a guy like Luka come off the bench. I mean, he came in the game after 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Like, he went in before the under 16 timeout. I mean, that's you're everything but a starter coming in at that time, So whether it's him or Stevenson starting, I don't think is a big deal. Let's see here. Dixon he's gonna have to get some minutes. Maybe not a ton, but he played perfectly all right tonight. Dixon will get some minutes. Powell will get some minutes. I mean, you talk about somebody who can let it fly. He can put it up, dude. And so you'd look to him to be a spark as well off the bench, hitting 2-3 threes a game. That can be a huge, huge boon. That's only 7 that I've just mentioned.
But I think that's
7 or 8. And then High will get a few minutes just because somebody else will have to play in the post. But I think it'll probably end up being a pretty tight rotation pretty quickly. I mean, that has been a consistency in the Hubert Davis tenure is tight rotations. I think this year there are more pieces, and so it won't have to be quite as tight, which is a good thing. But I think it'll probably get pretty tight pretty quick. By Thanksgiving, we'll see those guys, and it'll just be those same guys for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I could see it going 7 to 8, and maybe 9, because I think Powell will play, like you said. I think Derek Dixon will play a good amount.
And then Young will get some minutes too. He has experience.
Yeah, he might get phased out a little bit just because like he plays the same position as Bogavac and
Yeah.
Powell. But then you already got so Powell, Bogavac, and Jaron Stevenson. One of those two guys. That's your sixth man right there. And then it's
Yeah.
gonna be one of Zayden High and James Brown. So that's four
Yeah.
players off the bench. I'm kind of considering Zayden High and James Brown like the same player. They're going to give you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
5 and 5, 7 and
Yeah.
3. Today they gave 16 minutes total. So that's how I look at it. But we have plenty of more time to talk about this team. We don't want to blow our load here. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We'll be doing a bunch of these post-game reaction shows. I hope to do one a week, hopefully after the midweek game to kind of recap the two previous games. Let's get into another fun segment. So I was going to the game this weekend, Spenser, in Chapel Hill. Be sure to listen to Bryn Renner on Big Hitters Only right after this segment. The weather in Chapel Hill this weekend, Saturday, it's a low of 52 and a high of 69. Okay? Game time, it's going to be 66 degrees. All right? But you're tailgating around 11, 12, it's going to be 65, 66. What are you wearing? What is Spenser Dalton wearing head to toe for that kind of, November game with, the weather is in the 60s, but then at 8 p.m., it's 56. Game's still going. It's 55, 56.
Right. Yeah, I feel like some of the coldest that I've ever been have been in football stadiums when it's only like 55 degrees. It's like it's more cold then than it is when you're skiing. Gosh,
give us the full UNC adult male.
I'm going bottom up. I'm either wearing a pair of Vans or maybe a pair of tasteful Chelsea boots. I love my Vans sneakers, but I like a pair of Chelsea boots as well. I don't know, I may go with some light wash jeans or a pair of classic khakis.
So that's the key there. You're going pants.
Oh yeah, I'm going pants. Pants. I think in the 60s, even with the sun out, that may be a short sleeve type of thing, but pants down low. I'm definitely going pants for sure. And then, oh man, this is where it gets tight. You could go long sleeve button up, which I like to do a lot. I prefer a long sleeve button up over a game day polo.
Okay.
When you're, if weather permitting, of course, if it's 85 degrees, it's game day polo for sure. But I'd probably say long sleeve button up, rolled up, no jacket when it's warm during the day, and then I'm probably toting around maybe a vest. I've got a nice like North Carolina fleece vest. And for that night game, that's barber jacket territory. 55 when it's dark.
No, I think that's too warm because you have to carry it all during the day. You got to think about that too.
That's the difficult part. Yeah.
Yeah. You're carrying that barber jacket until 8:30. So you're carrying it for 5, 6, 7 hours during the tailgate. You're not wearing that in 66-degree weather, especially like with the sun's gonna be out. I think the decision here is, for me at least, because I like to move around. I'm walking on Franklin Street. I'm going to this tailgate. I mean, 60s, 65 and up is shorts for me. But it's fall, and like, do you really want to wear short as a 39-year-old adult male? Are you wearing shorts? When it's going to be 55 degrees eventually. So I think it might be a light khaki, like a ABC pant from Lululemon type khaki.
Sure.
Sneakers for me, and I think could go like a nice classy sweatshirt. Not like a slop one, but like a nice UNC sweatshirt. A light one, or just go a polo and a Q-zip. Gives you the flexibility, because I do think a light vest would be great. But some of those vests it keeps the warmth in, and you're sweating in that.
It really does. Yeah.
But a light golf vest would be a good look too.
Yeah. The sweatshirt is a tempting one. Because you could take that off and tie it around the waist if you had to. I mean,
yeah,
I love the classic like Champion reverse weave, kind of that light grayish one with the Navy North Carolina on it. That's
Yeah.
that's an all-time classic. So you could go that with like a game day polo underneath.
You're
That's a
probably
slick
more of a
look.
sweatshirt over the shoulder guy, right?
I've
Crossover.
been known. I've been known. Yeah.
All right. Let's get
Other easy way to tote it around. Yeah.
let's get out of here. Guys, Roback, BHO20 at checkout. Also, Drink Delta Spirits. It's now called Drink New Grav. BHO10. If you want to get into the THC world, this is a local Greensboro, Kernersville, THC based beverage. They're delicious. If you're trying to move away from alcohol, BHO10. Drink New Grav. They changed their name, so it's Drink New Grav. Order a 6-pack or some of their liquor substitutes as well. That's BHO10. Roback's BHO20. Stay tuned to Bryn Renner talking UNC football. Spenser, we appreciate your time. UNC defeats Central Arkansas 94-54 to move to 1-0. And we'll talk to you next time for the next basketball game. We're probably going to go live after Kansas as well on Friday. So stay tuned to that episode, probably dropping on Saturday. All right, welcome back into Big Hitters Only. We now bring on former UNC quarterback and analyst for the Tar Heel Sports Network, Bryn Renner. What's up, Bryn?
Ross, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. And this segment's going to be brought to you by Roback. I have the Roback hoodie on. Promo
Let's
code
go.
BHO20 to get 20% off your purchase at Roback. Anything, get your Christmas shopping done early. Roback, anything on there, 20% off. First-time buyers, BHO20. All right, Bryn, you were on the call for the Syracuse game on Friday night. I watched every single minute. I was locked in. I listened to you a good amount driving in the post game. And look, 3 games now. UNC's played good enough to win. They look a lot better. The defense is rolling. The offense looks a little bit better. I will say this. I don't think Syracuse was a good team at all. Quarterback issues there. You could just tell they were not nearly 100%. But a win's a win. UNC is now 3-5, first Power 4 win for Belichick. And the feelings changed in this team. Where do you stand right now with this UNC football team?
Yeah, look, I think if you break up the season, like I've said before, and quarters, right? First 4 games, we didn't know who we were, and the second 4 games, we've really kind of found who we are, and we've seen that the last 3 games. I think everybody from a fan, myself included, former alumni, former players, we all just wanted to see the team be competitive, and it's so rewarding for the players and coaches to finally get the win. No matter what, no matter what happened in the previous 2 games, you look at the Cal game, you lose by 1 play. UVA game, you lose by 1 play, and you're like, man, we really want these players to get over the hump. So I'm super proud of the Friday type of focus and intensity, because for the first half for us, I think we all were like, oh my gosh, it's 10-6 at half.
Yeah.
And the kids really turned it on. And we have to stop looking at what the teams were in the past and just focus on this team we have now, because I was a victim of that early. And the kids are playing really, really hard. And I think what you saw Friday is the Belichick way. Play really good defense. And I think we've seen a 3-game stretch, and Jones Angel said it best. I mean, this might be the best 3-game stretch we've seen of a Carolina defense since, maybe a decade, because, I mean, they hold UVA to 10 points. It's a top 20 team. And then you look at what they did on Friday, and I don't care who you're playing, to hold an opponent from under 200 yards, I think, for the first time since 1997. It's incredible. And Abuja having 5 sacks in the last 2 games. He's playing incredible football. That kid's going to be a pro. You're seeing players start to make plays and guys you can depend on. And I think Belichick mentioned that early in the season is we're going to find out throughout the course of the year are the players that we can depend on. And those guys are now making plays. So I'm really proud of this team right now.
Yeah, you're seeing a couple new players kind of pop each game, which kind of shows you that they're performing in practice. What I really liked about the post-game interview with Belichick, both with Jones and also on the TV broadcast, was he pointed out the fact that they wore down Syracuse, and in the third quarter and especially the fourth quarter, they were able to run the ball, and Syracuse could not stop them, showing that they were the better in-shape team. They had better endurance, and it's kind of like, all right, maybe some things are working, some off-season things, some conditioning are paying off now, and it was just good to be able to kind of dominate in the fourth quarter and run the plays you want to run and be successful and get first downs and move the ball. Back to the defense real quickly on what you said. I mean, 147 total yards by Syracuse, only 3 points on offense. I mean, it was a shutdown defense. You've kind of seen every game getting a little bit better the last three on defense with a really good performance there. What are they doing differently on defense? What are you seeing that's kind of standing out that is popping on tape from this defensive team? Because that's going to be what they're going to have to lean their hat on the rest of the season.
Yeah, the best position group right now on our team is the defensive line. Bob Diaco and his staff have done a phenomenal job of playing really good at the line of scrimmage. And I think since TCU had the second half explosion running the ball, we have stopped the run incredibly well. No one runs the ball on us. And we're rushing the passer because we're getting these teams in third and longs. And that's really when you can see team defense come alive. And, another thing is we play man-to-man. I would probably say, Ross, 80% of the time. And in college football, that's unheard of. And these kids, at the defensive back position, we lost that against Clemson. And then you got Thompson on the outside. You got young guys. You got Allen, who's playing well. You got, Caleb Koss had a really good name playing nickel. He's coming back in the season. He's playing more. Those three guys are really taking the challenge of, hey, we're going to play man-to-man on the best guys you have and be competitive. And that's what Belichick has really preached. And you can see their technique it has really improved. And something that I think people don't realize is when you played a man-to-man, we got the pass interference late in the game against UVA, which I think was a crap call, but they don't really have many PIs. And that is a disciplined unit of playing through the hands and playing at the point of catch, which is really hard to do. And they're playing extremely high level, and they have a ton of confidence on defense, Ross. You can tell they're playing with a little bit of swagger, and they're getting after the quarterback. I think Andrew Simpson's doing a really good job being the green dot guy, green dot calling the defense. He's done phenomenal, and they've been the most consistent bunch, and they've really carried us. And a good defense allows you to get more possessions, and that leads into our offense having more opportunities to score. And you saw that in the second half. When they got those three possessions we scored 3 straight times.
So what defense is UNC running most of the time? You said man-to-man, obviously, on the outsides, but what are they doing in terms of how they use the safeties, the linebackers, defensive line? Like, what's the signature Steve Belichick defense that they're employing the whole time, if you want to kind of get inside football here?
Yeah, I think a little bit of the 3-4 stuff. He's always been the 3-4 guy. Coach Belichick has, 3 down front with a stand-up linebacker to the field usually. But they're running a little bit of 4 down stuff as well. So they're mixing it up with front wise. And what they do in the back end is play sound football and add an extra hat. So they'll bring a safety down and play single high man-to-man and allow those guys to just basically play, 5-yard off catch coverage, right? You're playing man-to-man. So picture it like basketball. Hey, I got you. I have you. You got to beat me, which for a quarterback, in my opinion, I almost didn't like man-to-man sometimes because you had to be really, really accurate with the football. Yeah. And I think the mindset Coach Belichick has been preaching is, hey, look, we're going to rush 4 or 5, and we're going to play man-to-man, and you're going to have to be really accurate. Like, you look at the kid from Cal, his completion percentage was under 50. You look at the guy from Syracuse, completion percentage under 50. You look at Chandler Morris, who was having a really good season in the ACC. He was under 50 and had a lot of incompletions. And so it's working. It's everything his blueprint is working, saying you're going to have to play 4 quarters of really accurate quarterback play to beat us, and we're going to play man-to-man and shut you down. So, and commend Abujude. He has been a nightmare to block. Yeah, with 5 sacks the last 2 games.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, being able to get to the quarterback allows you to play these different defenses, because if you're not getting to the quarterback, then the guy has 5-6 seconds back there to mess around and allow people to get open. But UNC's getting home and forcing the quarterback out of the pocket, and just, it's refreshing to see some sacks after last couple seasons just not living up to the potential of the pass rushers that came in so highly touted. Okay, on offense, I think the offensive line. Patchwork offensive line, I think some injuries in the last game, moving people around, and not exactly like an all-star offensive line, has been a very good run blocking group. Pretty much consistent, not amazing the whole season, but consistent, especially good in the last game. I think the running backs have been solid. Like, a lot of good names there have been able to roll out, and some home run hitters with Damon June and a couple other guys. Quarterback play has been a little bit down, but I think that's gotten better too, especially against Syracuse. What do you like about the offense? What are they doing really well that's kind of working? We'll go from there.
Yeah, I think the offense is showing strides of improvement, and a lot of different guys are having to step up. Like we're playing, a ton of freshmen outside. Madrid Tucker is playing a lot, and you look at. So I'll start with the quarterback play. I think what I've learned about this team, and I think I think you learn about so many a team, especially guys that haven't played together and developing their own nuance of style. If you allow Gio to get a solid running game to start the football games and allow him to run play action and be able to find completions. I mean, he was 15 of 19 in the game, and he was finding early completions to have success. If you look at the games he has struggled, we've asked him to drop back and throw it 35 or more times. That might not be him. And early in my career, that was not me. It took me a while to kind of get those reps, have a really good running game with the guys behind me, Gio, Coop, and Hurst, and run the ball. And that was the biggest thing is we ran play action, and then guys became open. And so with Damon June, his pace of play, and we're playing 4 different backs that have a different style. Benjamin Hall has had a lot of production. Rely on the running game. If we have to punt it a couple times, our defense is playing great. Don't get pissed we're not scoring. Your times to take those shots are going to come. And that was what happened in the second half of the Syracuse game is we didn't panic. And those play action shots, like when we hit Ship on the cross country route, which the 2 guys crossed, he's wide open because we set up the run. And so if you look at the NFL, the NFL is totally different than college football. College, you can score 50 and it's like the first one to 50 wins. You look at Duke and Clemson, right? And then the style and brand that we want to play is really good defense, protect the football, punt, and let's take our shots and opportunities when the defense gets a stop. And that's who Gio is right now. That is. And I think it's okay to say that. He doesn't have to go win us the game. Just eliminate those turnovers in the red zone and get points, right? Like he's had 5 turnovers in the red zone that have cost us. And it's not only him, and I'm not picking him out. I just think it's the offense as a whole is run the football, protect the football, and let the defense go to work.
Yeah, you have to play – this team has to play a certain style of football, which is good defense, and just run the ball, and then take a shot here and there, and don't turn the ball over. I mean, the margins are pretty thin for this team, regardless of what happened against Syracuse. You can't have the turnovers. You saw that was what cost the team against Virginia and Cal. But if they don't turn the ball over and they can run the ball successfully, play defense, it's a winning combination. How are they running the ball? What's the offensive line doing? What kind of run schemes is Freddie Kitchens and UNC using to get these big gains, these big chunk yards?
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job in the run game because we're running gap schemes, and gap schemes are when guards or tackles pull or tight ends, right? So 2 guys are pulling. And you're getting, you're blocking down and allowing those guys to get around the edge and find the second level defenders. And I think from watching the tape and watching it live, our best run plays are counters. And when 2 guys are pulling. So we're getting a ton of success on those type of runs. And then when we run outside zone and the stretch plays where zone is nobody pulls and they're kind of just you're stalemating, blocking your guy one-on-one and reaching up to the second level on zone steps, we're not getting as much production. And so you're seeing a lot of guys, and gap schemes is really tough to fit for a defense. So, and Damon June is a really patient runner for a freshman. He's playing really, really good football. I mean, all-purpose yards, I think he had over 170, 182, I believe. And just, the 72-yard touchdown, catch on the screen. So he's making plays after contact, which is really impressive. But the offensive line is doing an incredible job of fitting a hat on a hat and making a hole.
Yeah, for sure. What is it called when they double team? When they will double team a defensive lineman and then move to the next level? What kind of run scheme is that?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing with the counter. So we're blocking down the center and guard. We'll take the nearest defender, on the front. And then the backside guard will pull, the backside tackle will pull, or we'll have a tight end pull with them as well. So 2 guys are pulling when it becomes a counter, and we've had production with that. And that's probably been our best run the last 3 weeks.
Perfect. All right, let's take a step back and look at the rest of the schedule. So UNC is 3-5, and look, I'm kind of backing on this team. I mean, it was brutal. Like the UCF game, what happened in TCU, and then the UCF game was tough on the road. And then Clemson was like, all right, let's see what we can do against Clemson home game. And that was just over in the first quarter. And then it's all right, Cal, that was that late Friday night game. on the West Coast, and then Virginia just looked better and literally so positive to get that win. And like I can't imagine the relief the coaches are feeling and the players in that locker room and that flight back. I texted you on Friday. I was like, man, are you on that flight back? It's got to be incredible. You were not, but
yeah,
it's tough. This losing is tough, and it's got to be an awesome feeling to get that win and get the monkey off your back. Stanford this weekend. I'll be there 4:30. Then at Wake Forest. So they don't leave the state again. All the games are inside the state. Stanford at Wake the following weekend. At home versus Duke, and then on the road versus NC State. UNC's 3-5. They need 3 games to become bowl eligible. How do you see this season breaking down? I'm not sure how much tape you're watching. I just know Duke can score, State can score. Wake Forest is getting better. Like I haven't watched these teams much either. Stanford's definitely winnable. UNC's favored. Like, what do you think is realistic? What can fans kind of expect over the next couple games here to kind of close out this first season of the Belichick era?
Yeah, and there's a phrase that Coach Belichick, knows really well, because I think he said it. They remember what you do in November, right? Like the first half of the season, I think we all kind of had mixed feelings. But I was never out on them. I think it was just they were trying to figure out who they were. And I've been a part of teams like that, so it's really tough. But if you look at this November slate, you got Stanford at home, which is a winnable football game. If you play exactly how you did against Syracuse and make some more plays, you have the potential to beat them. And I think if you look at the next 3 games after that, Wake Forest, Duke, and State are going to be all how much do you want it games. And because if you stack them up, you're probably on paper not looking as the favorable team. But this team has a chip on their shoulder now, because I just know from seeing the guys and being around a little bit, they know how good they are, because they should have beat UVA, they should have beat Cal, and now they beat Syracuse. So you have a little bit of momentum. And I think in college football, when 18-year-olds get momentum, there's no telling what they're going to do. And I think that's the biggest thing that you can see with this team is you got to come out, you got to play with a little swagger, and you got to play with no fear, because you got nothing to lose. You got to win 3 of the next 4 to go bowling. And I think they want to do it. So right now in November, it's time to step on the gas, and you got to push towards the end. Guys are tired. Guys are banged up on both teams. You can't allow that to be an excuse. You got to freaking go and let it rip and have the best success, because you only get 4 of them, and that's it.
What is practice like this week, coming off a win after having so many losses and being so down? It's got to be a good week of practice. Like, spirits are higher than they've ever been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, when you lose in college football, it affects the entire building. But when you win in college football, it motivates you to go out to practice and get another taste of that. You don't want to lose again after you have a winning feeling. It's been a long time for this team to get a win. And I think that's the biggest thing is they have to understand what it took last week and fill the tank up again. And they got to go back to work. And practice has got to be very physical, very intense. And the leaders got to step up and be like, look, man, that's not acceptable. If there's a bad play, you got to run it again. And just so you have that muscle memory, and players got to hold the other players accountable. I will never forget our best practices were in November, because it was bowl season. We were trying to go bowl, and we wanted to, see where we were going to go on our destination to play a bowl game. And that was the best time in sports, because you already put the work in. So you got to really, take advantage of every single practice that you have. So that's probably what they're doing this week.
Yeah. The bowl practices would be huge. I mean, you get the 15 practices. I mean, for this team, that's you're trying to figure out kind of the personnel they have, bring along all these freshmen that they brought in, all the new players, evaluate even more. And obviously get another game to play. I mean, that's huge. It's going to be tough. I mean, Duke is a really good team. State and Wake are winnable, but those are probably toss-ups depending on kind of who's injured and where the game is. I mean, State had a big win over Georgia Tech this last weekend. And I think Stanford's a must-win at home to keep things rolling and to keep UNC in bowl picture. All right, another step back. What is your, I mean, you're part of the, you're essentially a UNC employee in some respects. You can't probably speak as freely as some media people can. And you're an alum and you're going to be pro player, pro coach. But what do you how do you think it's kind of gone from your perspective? That was a tough week when all that media stuff was coming out, and you're kind of hearing rumors and recruiting violations. Is Belichick going to leave? Are they going to fire him before he gets on the plane to Cal? Where are you now? Be realistic. Try to take off your Carolina blue glasses and give fans kind of I mean, I think Belichick's coming back for next season, but still, there's still all right, this is not what we expected, but things are trending upwards. And so I think there is some hope.
Yeah, it's Ross. You know me. It's hard for me to take off the glasses of a player. I swear it's really hard. I wish I could let my hair down, but I think all the distractions was just a bunch of crap. And I think it's and all I can relate it to is when we went through the NCAA allegations. Like that was a tough time for me to be the starting quarterback here, and it was all noise, and we still went 5-1 because if you're a player, I guess I'll put it in two categories. If you're a player, none of that stuff matters. You're so focused on what you need to do to be successful that the outside noise should never bother you. If you're a coach, you're inside the building, you know what's going on. You're trying to get the players better to go play. So I think we live in a day and age where tweets and people's opinions become factual really, really quickly. And I think that if you can use that as motivation as a player or a coach and say, this is not true, this is true, this is what we're trying to work towards, it actually can be your advantage. So, I think holistically looking at this team, I think we all had probably a lot of expectations that didn't come true, which is very fair. I think every team has aspirations for what the season can be. But I think if you look at how much we've grown and gotten better and found roles for certain type of players, I think we're on the up and up. And I think, with the modern day of the transfer portal, we're going to get better players in. I think the guys that we have now are going to get better and go compete. And I think they really do have a chip on their shoulder because all the distractions that they have now, they're really trying to prove a point to everybody. But yeah, does it stink when that stuff comes out? Absolutely, because you really can't deny that you're looking at it. But if you know and use it as motivation from a leadership, if you're a player or a coach, it can be turned into an advantage and say, look, this is all bullcrap. They're out to get us, which a lot of people are. Like we know, it's just some people like Carolina, some people don't. It is what it is. So, but I think using that as motivation and saying, look, this is who we are on the field. That's all that matters.
And look, the team did not quit, and that's kudos to the team, the leadership, the coaching staff. I mean, that was a tough 2 weeks there with all that media stuff, and they've played better since. Cal, Virginia, and now the win against Syracuse. So that is a credit to the leadership and to coming together. And like you said, it can have some unifying effects when everybody's against you. And you're like, all right, we better, this is just us in this building, and we got to fight our way out. I think people are generally encouraged. It's going to be a super intriguing offseason with the amount of transfers you're going to have to bring in. But there is a lot of talent, too, that you can say, hey, we've got to pay some players. That's good. You want to be able to pay the good players and keep a core of the defensive line or the offensive line, keep a couple wide receivers that you like, and also you've seen what you got. You kick some people off and bring in some new players that you think might be better. So just obviously the defensive line, they've got some playmakers, and I think Damon June has earned every penny that he's going to get as well. So I'm super intrigued to see what happens. It's an exciting experiment. And I think a couple more wins would be awesome. All right, Brandon, that's 22 minutes. I said I'd keep you 20. That's it, guys. Got the Broback sweatshirt here. Awesome. I wear this every day. Promo code BHO20. It helps us do these podcasts to pay our
I'm going to get one right now,
guys. Yeah, man. Appreciate it, Bryn. Which games you covering?
Awesome,
which games you calling? I
got the next three. I got Stanford, Wake, and Duke. So I'll see you at Stanford. We'll grab a beer.
Stanford, Wake, and Duke. Awesome, man. Bryn Renner, Tar Heel Sports Properties. We'll talk to you next time on Big Hitters Only.